Putin hat den Krieg in Ukraine gewonnen. Putin appears to be winning the war in Ukraine, at least for the time being. His biggest weakness is Europe's lack of strategic vision. Das klassische Denken wird durch ein neues Zeitalter der Arbeiter gebracht. The death penalty crumbles in a rich world. There appears to be no end in sight to Vladimir Putin's invasion of Ukraine, which is approaching its third year. In September, we looked at what a protracted war would mean for the Ukraine. Russland wird dies wohl behandelt. Wir stellen uns die alarmierende Frage, has Herr Putin gewonnen? It has been successful for the Russian president to stabilize his country through repression, oil money, and the support of a cynical and opportunistic elite. However, this balance is unstable. War and militarism are the lifeblood of his regime, but so is the idea that the common Russian people should remain passive and atomized. She may be able to gradually rescind his mass mobilizations and the redirection of social transfers to the military as time goes on. However, Putin's biggest blunder is his impulsivity, fatalism, and lack of strategic vision in Europe. He will only win if you let him win. His defeat would be tragic for the Ukrainian people, the West, and, ultimately, Russia itself. In Europe, das ist unser Thema. Alternative betrachtet beschäftigen wir uns mit der Frage, wie das herkömmliche Wissen über Kapitalismus gestört werden konnte. Millions of people around the world have had their worldviews shaped by the belief that the system is so rigged that the affluent benefit while the workers are exploited. Doch das Lohnfall schrumpft in den reichen Ländern. The verification process through a high school diploma is back in vogue, and the markets are constantly seeking workers. An additional reason to expect that inequality will continue to recede and that the working class will continue to earn a lot of money in the future is the evidence that artificial intelligence reduces the productivity gap. Just as we were about to finish up this week's edition, word of Henry Kissinger's death at the age of 100 reached us. In addition to publishing our rebuke of the apex of American statecraft, we have also released a letter in which we ask what the world can learn about diplomacy from him. Along with a few of my colleagues, I attended Mr. Kissinger's 100th birthday party on May of this year. Ein Einblick in seine Weltsicht ist in dem Dossier enthalten, das wir veröffentlicht haben. Beddoes, Zani Minton. Head of Research. Putin appears to be winning the war in Ukraine, at least for the time being. His biggest weakness is Europe's lack of strategic vision. Wider Zoom Thema. How Putin modifies Russia to keep his war machines running. Vladimir Putin is ready to exploit the political crisis in Ukraine. Das klassische Denken wird durch ein neues Zeitalter der Arbeiter gebracht. The death penalty crumbles in a rich world. Wider Zoom Thema. Begin your journey into a golden age for workers, and no matter where Henry Kissinger wanted to be, he was never really there. At the age of 100 years, the patriarch of American state art passed away on November 29. Wider Zoom Thema. What can the world learn about diplomacy from Henry Kissinger? How to prevent the Third World War? According to Henry Kissinger werden die Hamas weiter in ihren Kampf gegen Israel fortsetzen oder beginnen sie mit dem Frieden. A high-intensity battle is taking place within the group. Wider Zoom Thema. The United States strategy for handling the upcoming phase of the Gaza conflict. Those are the most expensive cities in the world. Where the prices are highest is shown by the EIU's Life-Sustaining Cost Index. Wider Zoom Thema. Is it cheaper to buy or rent an apartment? Those are the top podcasts recommended by The Economist for the year 2023. Topics such as the Imperium, medical malpractice, and war are covered. Get out of here, Hong Kong! China is the topic of our weekly podcast. Risky weather makes predictions life or death, according to economist Filme. Predicting the weather is a challenge for many countries, especially appealing to our German readers. The German government coalition is fighting a collapsed budget. Die Stringer die Physikgrenzen wird vom Verfassungsgericht abgelehnt. Unbeknownst zu seinen Wurzeln liegt Deutschland in einem bizarren haushaltspolitischen Chaos. How to fix a household spica in 3 easy steps. If you would like more information, Please contact. With an ever-expanding global audience and a reputation for thorough analyses and perspectives on every facet of world events, The Economist is one of the most renowned and widely read publications on current affairs topics in the world. The Economist Espresso is a daily news app, and Global Business Review is a bilingual English-Chinese product. These publications complement the website and weekly print and digital editions. The Intelligence is a daily podcast covering current events, along with several other weekly podcasts and short and long videos produced by the same company. The European military is unprepared for a conflict with Russia and could be washed away by Putin's influence, according to a prominent military historian. Germany might not be prepared for war for more than 10 years, according to Sankt Neitzel, a military history professor at Potsdam University. This news comes after multiple high-ranking German military officials expressed concern that NATO may lose the first battle of its defensive campaign along its eastern flank. They claimed it would be difficult to swiftly transport enough supplies and soldiers to the front lines. "We need more money," Professor Neitzel said at the Berlin Security Conference. "We require additional staff." Politics also has its boundaries. Having to fight is something that the Bundeswehr, the German armed forces, can't rule out. We will be asked, "What have you done?" as we stand by the soldiers' coffins at their graves. The soldiers' inability to do their duties is something we must explain to their families. Right now, the only way for us to die valiantly is if a war breaks out. Our military will perish in battle if we do not provide them with drones, air defenses, and adequate supplies. This much is obvious. Has our message been conveyed to the leaders of Germany sufficiently? It is your responsibility that they will die. Troops were down by at least 30,000 from the 203,000 strong goal, as pointed out by Professor Neitzel. He continued by saying that the current 34,000 reservists are insufficient and that the nation requires an additional 60,000. Boris Pistorius, Germany's Minister of Defense, has referred to the country's citizens as kriegstüchtig, meaning capable of war. In Germany, 71% of voters are against the new goal of the state to take on a leadership role in defending Europe, proving that the term is provocative. Creating a European army was something he told the conference was off the table on Thursday, according to Professor Neitzel. Senior NATO officials are becoming more and more pessimistic about the prospects of Ukraine reclaiming substantial territory from Russia. This is in light of the fact that its summer counteroffensive was unsuccessful and that it is currently considering ways to incorporate the occupied regions of the country into the alliance. He went on to say that after visiting NATO headquarters, he was disheartened to see that different allied states still had ammunition that was incompatible with each other. Project IKN Dido Lacanes, Otorita IKN, we are performing verification and constitutional actions. At the request of President Enis Baswedan, Deputy Bidon Pindanon Dan Investisi Otorita Ibu Kota Nusantara, IKN, Agum Wikiksono has extended a hand in establishing the IKN project. In the past, Enis has warned that, should he become president, he must revoke the regulations establishing the IKN. Kami IKUU, Undang Dan Konstitusi, Agong said during the opening ceremony of the roadshow Peluang Investasi IKN in Jakarta on December 1, 2023. Agong Mingatakin UU IKN Dan Konstitusi Tegak Luras Dengan IKN. As is known, the government recently passed Presidential Decree No. 3 of 2022 regarding IKN. This will then be reviewed and officially changed to UU on Saturday, October 3, 2023. In the event that a leader's crisis occurs, these UUs also address the project's success criteria. Can, ITU undang, he explained. Because of this, Agong did not feel the need to comment extensively on the organization of the Pilpres 2024 contest to IKN. Demokrasi dan Politik, Menurutnya, adalah hal ini. Kami tidak bisa mempengaruhi, curtly Agong said. While attending a Desakanese event in Kota Bandung, Jawa Barat, Enis Baswedan received the UU IKN enrollment certificate. When it comes to details, my mom is in Jakarta today. In accordance with the rules, he will be sent to Nusantara. Who is Batul? Next time I look, if I am pregnant, we will all eat this rice, Enis said on Monday, November 29, 2023. He dispersed a considerable amount of money to IKN. funds totaling 460 Indonesian rupiah trillion, which Chinese claims can be used for everything from healthcare to public welfare, example, building puskesmas, are available to other sectors. Included in this is the task of enhancing the welfare of the thousands of teachers who are pegawai pemerintah with perjanjian kerja, PPPK, police officers, among other things. Prior to that, Partai Keadilan Sejahtera, PKS, which is a branch of the ruling Koalisi Anies Baswedan Mohaimin Iskandar, subtly conveyed its intentions to IKN. If the Partai Keadilan Sejahtera, PKS, is re-elected, DKI Jakarta will be strengthened as the Indonesian capital, according to PKS Ahmad Syaku, the president of the party. First, how is it being built at Ibu Kota Nusantara? But it will be our center for economic growth, Syaku said in Depok on Monday, November 26, 2023. Tinted dengan konsep green economy, Karina di sana adalah paru-paru Indonesia dan juga diakui sebagai paru-paru dunia.